1865 August. August 1865. It was my second summer since coming to Kyoto. Last year, our hands were full between the Battle of the Ikeda and the Hamaguri Rebellion. This year, however, was much quieter. Thanks in part to the relative peace, I've been busy searching for clues about my father on rounds, and I was able to help around the headquarters. But today, the air was so humid I couldn't sleep. Maybe I'll go outside, so fresh air might help. After I learned of the existence of the Furies, I've been given something much closer to free reign. My connection to Matsumoto-sensei had probably also worked in my favor. I shouldn't get in too much trouble for taking a little walk at night, right? I slipped out of bed and tiptoed out of my room. The air outside was much easier to breathe. I was starting to think I might take a short walk around the compound when... Huh? It was the middle of the night, but I could see a figure standing in the inner courtyard. Was something wrong? Did something happen? I frowned to myself and inched towards the figure. As I got closer, I could see that the lone figure was... Hijikata-san. He was standing almost completely still, the silvery moonlight shining down on him. He possessed an air of melancholy, standing there, as if he was waiting for someone. I thought to myself that I should walk on, pretend that I didn't see anything.
こんばんは、土方くん。遅くに申し訳ありません。
呼び出したのは俺だろう。三男さんと昼間から話すってわけにもいかねえしな。
I lost my opportunity to say something, and I stood there confused.
体調はどうなんだ？包み隠さず答えてくれ。
今は夜ですから、何の不自由も感じませんよ。強いて言うなら、少し蒸し暑いくらいですね。
They didn't seem to notice me. If I tried to leave, I was sure I'd make some kind of noise and they'd catch me. I decided to just keep quiet.
太陽の光が苦痛ってんなら、そりゃ昼間は辛いだろうよ。分かってんだろう、三男さん。俺が聞きたいのは、
私が狂っているか確かめに来たんですね。私が羅刹になったことで君が胸を痛めているというなら、それはお門違いでしょう。落ち水を飲んだことを私は後悔などしていません。むしろ深く喜んでいます。動かなかったこの腕で再び刀を取れるのですから。
But Sanan-san's smile didn't seem to be what Hijikata-san wanted, and he frowned.
確かに傷は癒えただろうが、失ったものだってあるだろうよ。羅刹化の代償は大きすぎる。そうやすやすと作るもんじゃねえよ。
土方君は心配性ですね。それに相変わらず頭も固い。奇跡の恩恵を受けることを拒む人などいるのでしょうか。
下道で掴んだ奇跡か。ほら、嫌な予感しかしねえな。
Hijikata-san scowled.
怖いですね。土方君の勘はよく当たりますから。
頼むから茶化さないでくれ。俺は本気で話してんだぜ。
Sanan-san just shrugged.
あんたには総長としてずっと表舞台で近藤さんを支え続けてほしかった。
土方君らしくもない平静さを失っていませんか？
Then suddenly he looked up. I had no time to hide and he looked right at me.
雪村、お前。
Hijikata-san turned towards me, surprised. There was no point to running, so I just looked at the ground and tried to be as small as possible. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure what to say, and then you were talking, and...
土方君は私のことよりも他のことを気にしてください。例えば伊藤派なんてどうです？妙な動きがあるようですが。
ああ、手は打つさ。それが副長の務めだからな。
Sanan-san's eyes thinned with satisfaction. Then he nodded slightly to me before taking his leave. No. I contemplated whether or not to return to my room, but...
雪村、お前はまだ少しここに残ってろ。
Hi. I froze.
お前がバカじゃねえなら、もう少しわきまえた行動をとれ。余計なことを聞くほど自分の立場が危うくなるのは分かってんだろうな。
Sorry.
だったら気をつけろ。余計な騒ぎは起こすな。
He sighed and rubbed his temples with a tired hand. When it seemed like he had nothing more to say, Hijikata-san turned and began to walk off. Hijikata-san! I was surprised to hear myself speak, but the way he looked so lonely, I felt like I had to say something. So, I'll help with the research. Can I help with the Fury research?
何言ってんだ。そんなこと無理に決まってんだろ。
I know I don't have my father's knowledge or experience or, well, anything really, but I knew it was pointless. But I felt responsible, like my father's duties were passed down to me. But I didn't know anything about medicine, and even less about whatever it was that created the Furies. It was maddening. I could read his notes, though, and help explain them to other people. He left a lot of his research back at our house in Edo. There's got to be something there. Maybe I can find something that'll help them more.
落ち着けよ、雪村。高堂さんも羅刹の実験を進めてる途中だったんだ。お前の家に戻ったって今分かってること以上のものはまず存在しねえだろうな。
But I could do my own research, or...
余計なことを考えるな。ますます悪い結果が出たらどう責任取るつもりだ。
Well, He looked at me and sighed.
何より蘭学の知識を持ってた高堂さんが結果を出せなかったんだ。聞き覚え程度の小娘が生きがってんじゃねえよ。
He was right, of course, about all of it. I felt stupid to think for a moment that I may be able to solve something my father had failed to. Gomen. I tried to look as contrite as possible. Hijikata-san's mouth twisted.
ま、お前の気持ちは俺が受け取っといてやる。
Huh?
だからおとなしく待ってろ。羅刹についちゃ俺ら新選組が解決しなきゃならねえんだ。
Even if he was cold, he did care.
自分の父親が羅刹の研究してたって知ったら落ち着いてられねえか。
I nodded.
高堂さんは観察型が調査を続けてる。結果が出るまで待ってろ。お前みたいなガキは大人に任せときゃいいんだ。
I kept my mouth shut, and he frowned.
羅刹は人間が触れていい代物じゃねえのは分かってる。だが落ち水は新選組の切り札になるかもしれねえもんなんだ。
You mean?
もちろん最後の手段だ。汎用できるもんじゃねえよ。
Hijikata's face scrunched in an unpleasant manner.
少し話しすぎちまったな。今夜のことは他言無用だ。余計なことをすりゃ今度こそお前の立場は危うくなる。
I heard the same warning many times before. I nodded.
さっさと部屋に戻れ。他の連中に見つかるなよ。
Right.
それから外を歩くときは必ず人の有無に気をつけろ。
I'll be careful. I turned and headed back towards my room at a pace that was nearly a run. Hijikata-san had certainly earned his reputation, and he reminded me why every time I saw him. But there was more to him than that. His cold, severe mask hid more empathy than people realized. Or maybe they did. A man didn't earn that much respect through discipline alone. I slowed to a walk and let the night wind brush against my face as I thought about Hijikata-san and the kind of man he was. (1866 October). After the dust cleared following the Hamaguri rebellion, the shogun set about cleaning house. The Choshu expedition was launched by the shogun once the Choshu domain were declared enemies of the court. Perhaps feeling they dodged a bullet, the Choshu domain fell silent for a time. Their obedience was short-lived, however, and before long their disrespect for the shogun became impossible to ignore. In order to investigate further, the shogun had decided to send an envoy to the Choshu domain. Kondo-san was asked to accompany an envoy sent to the Choshu to investigate their behavior. However, the Choshu domain refused to even meet with the envoy. Fed up with their insubordination, the shogun had ordered the second Choshu expedition. However, the war was a costly one, exhausting both the resources and the men from all over the domains, whose morale began to falter. To add to the fire, word of the Shogun Iemochi's passing shook all of Japan, and some domains even withdrew, which made the situation even more dire. The second Choshu expedition had ended in a surprisingly major loss for the shogun of troops. October 1866. The pillar of the Tokugawa shogunate, which stood strong for 260 years, was beginning to show signs of instability. We can skip this one, because it's when we meet Sen.
雪村
I thought back on what Hijikata-san had said. It was true Sen-san had been acting strange, and the fury groups had been getting more and more violent. There was a lot on my mind, but what worried me the most was the notice board. Just as Hijikata-san predicted, a few days later the order came down from the Shinsengumi to guard the notice board. All divisions not on regular patrol rounds were directed to take turns on guard duty. I need to speak. Hold on. The first day was quiet, and the men on duty spent most of it just simply standing around.
おいおい、いくらなんでもだらけすぎだろ。ちゃんとしろよ、ちゃんと。
んなこと言われてもよ。島原で夜明かしするんならともかく、よう徹して見張りとなると身が入らねえこと入らねえこと。さすがに今日こそは何か起きてくれねえとな。今夜の当番は佐野お前の組だろ。
そうだったな。ま、役目は果たすさ。
Hit. Just then. Oh, hello, Ito-san. Hello to you too, Miki.
あら、お三方。もしかしてこの部屋使ってらっしゃるのかしら？
Ito-san and Miki enter the room, followed by a bunch of warriors from the Ito faction.
なんだ、ゾロゾロと連れ立って。何か用でもあるんですか？
これから神論を題材に同志諸君と議論をしようと思っているのだけど、よろしければ皆さん方もご一緒にいかがかしら？
兄貴も嫌味だな。神論どころか四書五経すらまともに読んでないような奴らが議論なんてできるはずないだろ。
まあ、このこったらなんてことを言うのかしら。お気を悪くなさらないでね、お三方。同志諸君、ここはもう使ってらっしゃるようですから、別の部屋に行くことにしましょう。
Ito and his men went back out into the hallway and disappeared. As soon as they were out of sight, Nagakura's face warped.
ったく相変わらず嫌味な連中だぜ。
仲間を集めてこそこそしやがって。実際は何を議論してるんだか分かったもんじゃねえな。近藤さんも平助も何を考えてあんな奴らを引っ張ってきたんだか。
There's a jelly bean in my mouth. It wasn't just Nagakura and Harada who didn't seem to like Ito-san much. I'd heard plenty of the other captains and even some of the soldiers talking about him in less than glowing terms. There was no way Ito-san himself hadn't picked up on it, but he seemed to have larger concerns than his reputation and had devoted his efforts to increasing his power base within the Shinsengumi. Oh, hello, Takada-san.
先ほど伊藤さんたちがここへ来たはずだが。
Ah, they were just here. They went off to another room to have some discussion or something.
別室だと。会合を開く際は一声かけてくださいと言ってあったのに、もしや私を参加させぬために。
Well, Takada muttered to himself and left, and I cut him off short because it's Takada. And he went out of the common room.
なんだありゃ。
伊藤さんの腰巾着をしようと思ったが相手にされてねってとこだろう。武田さんも最近体内に居場所がねえみてえだしな。
After Harada said that, he suddenly got up.
さてと、そろそろ頃合いだな。行ってくるとするか。
Oh,
なんだ？もしかしてお前もついてくるつもりか？やめとけ。お前は鬼連中から狙われてんだろ。夜の巡察には連れて行けねえよ。
I suppose you're right. All the sitting around all day started to make me chafe. I wanted to help somehow, but Harada was right. If I went with him, I'd just end up getting in the way. Well, please be careful, okay, Harada?
おう、分かってるって。
That night they struck, or tried to. 8 men from the Tulsa domain challenged Harada and his division by trying to tear down the notice board. The fighting was furious but short. Harada managed to capture some of the perpetrators, although some of his captives later managed to escape. Harada and his division were honored by the Aizu domain for their service to the shogunate and were given a reward. When he was asked how he captured When he was asked how the captured men had managed to escape, he simply replied, "It was too dark to get a good look," and said no more.